Hellraiser. Beyond any terror you have imagined.
Can you tell us about the plot of Hellraiser?
The basic plot is a family saga. Clive Barker, who wrote and directed the movie, at one time I remember memorably describing the movie as Ibsen with monsters.
I've come for my father!
What did you think about the role of Pinhead?
First met Clive in high school in Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
In 1969. We were both in the school play together. We had done a decade of independent theatre. Most of the material we were doing as a theatre company was Clive's. And I'm pretty certain I had read a handwritten manuscript of The Hellbound Heart prior to its publication. So at this point, I would have signed on to do anything with Clive. I suppose I generally had in my head, well, I'm going to play the monster in a horror film. That's cool. In fact, I don't think, and this became immediately apparent from reading The Hellbound Heart, reading the screenplay, and as filming progressed, that Pinhead isn't really the monster in the film. The monsters are Frank and Julia. Pinhead is rather independent of proceedings. He's more like a judge.
If you did have to take something from that character, what would it be?
The wit, the dry, sardonic, black humor.
Could hurt me.
You're not the first to say that.
Okay, so the origin story of how your character was slowly revealed, basically, throughout this subsequent sequels, do you feel like there's more that could have been revealed about your character?
Yes, I think so. There would have been a little bit more. During Hellraiser, talking to Clive, I knew that he had been human. During Hellraiser, I didn't have the story of Elliot Spencer in my head at all. That kind of worked for me. I knew that he had been human and that he had therefore at some point been transformed into this character. And I assumed either after death or, kind of died as part of the process, or maybe not, simply a kind of transhuman state. No longer really a human being, but now a demon, an angel, he says, a Cenobite, whatever that is, we never really know. So I had that in my head. Did that happen last week, 1,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago? I had no idea. And it didn't really matter to me at that point. One of the many things I felt about Pinhead was a mournfulness, a kind of emotional deadness in him, but almost like a sense of mourning, which I tied to that idea that he maybe could remember his humanity, though he couldn't remember the details of the human. I did feel that somewhere in there we might have followed the journey of Elliot from serving in the First World War, maybe fighting in the Battle of the Somme, all the horrors that we associate with that. There was a documentary on the BBC, which was about the Somme and interviewing survivors of the Battle of the Somme. And he said, I felt like a cheat all my life. I shouldn't be here. I'm sure he didn't use these words. They're classic horror film words because Boris Karloff says them in Bride of Frankenstein. We belong dead.
Yeah.
And he was effectively saying that I feel as though I should be under the ground in northern France with my colleagues. I have no right to still be alive. And I thought, thank you, sir. That's it. That's the worm in Elliot's brain.
You mentioned the lament configuration. It's basically a deadly form of the Rubik's Cube, as we all know. But what do you think it is about the puzzle box that makes it so enticing?
All puzzles are enticing. We can't avoid puzzles. There's that element. And then beyond it, it's the Faustian bargain.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.